we're going to talk about good and bad, Autobot and Decepticon, and being both, or maybe more appropriately, being neither. When we dive into this guy, this is the new Earthrise leader class? I think that's a little debatable. Doubledealer, along with his two partners, because I'm going to incorporate them here, why not, with Knok and Skar. We're going to look at all of this and everything that comes with this guy and compare him to his generation's counterpart in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. Of course, it helps me out a lot and let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and the Autobot family. All of my social media links, all of that's in the description below. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is Doubledealer with his little lad right here, and his other little lad is on the back. I kind of see them as a trio. I see them as a complete unit, even though they didn't come together as a unit. To call this guy leader, it's funny, you know, like I've heard it referred that he's the first true leader, but I don't feel like he's a leader. That being said, I also don't feel like I'm getting less value for money here. It's kind of an interesting story with this guy. He has pretty excellent articulation, though there are a couple of things that I've heard being issues, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about how you can incorporate both of his little partners, and we'll talk about the wealth of accessories that actually come with the guy. There's a lot here to explore, not the least of which is 4 modes. Not just 3, but 4 modes, technically speaking. Let's dive into it all when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And finally, now we get to dig into he who is both an Autobot and a Decepticon Doubledealer. Now, I always kind of liked the Generations one. I like this one, but I don't know if I would say it's very accurate to call it a leader. We'll get into that in a bit, but we're going to kick things off first with the packaging. And so our packaging looks like this, and it's fine. We have very nice artwork of Doubledealer over here. One of my favorite pieces of artwork, if I'm perfectly honest. Again, there's a Decepticon symbol up here. Like, I would point that out and here just to say, usually there's an Autobot symbol on it, or a Decepticon symbol, or a Quintesson symbol. They've kind of defaulted to Decepticon here, I guess, because of his, you know, I work for the highest bidder, kind of dubious nature, so to speak. Here he is on the back in all of his modes. This time, he of course has all 3 of his traditional, plus kind of a base mode, sorta. It's more of a mobile transporty type of mode, but you get the idea. We've got rather giant instructions, but there's something interesting to note here. First things first, he has a whole bunch of stats. They're in Cybertronian. I don't know what they are, but he's definitely a formidable force. But look at that packaging. Look at what's down right there. It's a mercenary symbol, even though on the box he is kind of identified as Decepticon. On his instructions, he's identified as one of the mercenaries. Also worth noting is that his piece of the puzzle is Chemnus, which is right there. And you'll notice that again, up on the flap here, we have a mercenary symbol, not a Decepticon one. He comes with this nicely molded but simple little machine gun, I guess. He also comes with whatever this is. I think it's officially called a radar pod, but it just looks like a block with some gray paint on it to me. He comes with 2 parts to his missile, I suppose. They fit together pretty easily. To take them apart, you just gotta pull them apart. And he comes with this, which serves a couple of purposes, but in reality it's really the tail feathers for the bird mode. And finally, he comes with 2 of these missile pod things, I guess. I suppose that's what they are. So he comes with a ton of accessories. And here's the way our boy comes out of package in his, like, heroic pose with his hands on his hips, which I thought was a weird way to package him, but whatever. So we can straighten up his arms and bring them down. We can, of course, do the same thing over here. And we're going to put all of his like bits and pieces on him. It's actually in the instructions how to do it, so I'll kind of follow that. But we will, you know, obviously go with this with the understanding that, you know what, it could be that you find an alternate way to do this stuff, you know, whatever works for you. But here's where this is supposed to go in robot mode, and one, of course, on the other side over here. So we have both of those now in the lower legs. Next we can deal with the, we'll say the radar dish, because I think that's what they call it. And apparently that's supposed to go in right there. And his other blaster is supposed to go in over on the shoulder. Now note they're on the ports that are on the shoulder for the shoulder moving around. So that's where they're apparently supposed to be. Then we come to the back here. And this is the way it is in package. A lot of times I end up leaving this piece down, but I mean, you know, obviously you don't have to. Now there's kind of two ways to handle this next piece. One, you can leave it flat like this, and you can take this piece, and there's two rectangular starts on it that can go into these two rectangular starts right there. And that's fine, it gives it kind of a nice flat flush backpack, but you do have to deal then with this peg sticking up, and that will interfere with this piece plugging in securely on the shoulder, but you can do it. It does make the backpack a little flatter, I suppose. Officially, you're supposed to take this piece out, and you're supposed to bend the tail piece back, put these down by the side, and then these two still go slotted up underneath into those two sections I said earlier. So that's in close. It's just now you do have this piece here sticking off. That's up to you. Then you're supposed to take this piece and it goes up on the shoulder right there, and then finally the last piece is supposed to go held in his hand as like a hand blaster thing, which I'll do, but I do want to note that you could, if you are so inclined, put both of these pieces together, and you could use a different peg, say, I don't know, say maybe this one? Say this one. That one's definitely out too far. There is a little peg there. I wonder if I can get that one in. So you could do it that way. There's a little peg there, and it seems like it's probably in about as close to a right position as you can get for it to go on his shoulder as one complete unit. But like, this does stick out a lot. There's no doubt about it. So I think what most people will probably still opt for is to indeed do that. Now, that brings us to what I wanted to talk about, which is this as a hand blaster. A lot of people have said that the kind of friction elbows that he has aren't strong enough to support the blaster in his hand and the weight of it, and it falls down. That might be. Mine supports it just fine. It's not an issue that mine seems to have on either arm. So I think tolerances might vary a bit, but I will say that I was surprised that the elbows were frictioned like this rather than ratcheted. I really expected them to be ratcheted, and I think that that's a little bit unfortunate. And here, of course, we have Knok and Skar, and I love the fact we've kind of got the band back together. Now, again, I like the Generations one, but, and you could even incorporate Knok and Skar. If you have the like Soundwave Unit 3 quartet of cassettes, you can actually use these two with the Generations one. I showed that in the review for these guys. Now, it's a little dicey because you're kind of putting it behind the shoulders of the Generations one, but the idea is that these two Power Masters don't know each other exists, and when Skar is connected this guy is goes between a tank and a bird, and that's what Skar knows him as a Decepticon, because the tank is neutral, the bird is Decepticon, but when Knok goes attached, as far as Knok knows, this guy goes between tank, neutral, and Autobot, robot. So that's the way it's supposed to work, which means at different times, one is serving as his Power Master, and the other is kind of just hidden away. In this case, the Power Master is going to be Knok that goes in the chest. And guess what? That's right, he can actually do it. And we even have a little engine piece down right here that can come out and go attached to Knok so that he actually looks like a Power Master rather than a cassette. Okay, so now I've got Knok and Skar taken away, and I've got the chest piece pulled down where I can pull out this piece. It will go on over the little, I guess, peg that you can pull out on the little cassette guys, and the cassette guy will fit in here. When this comes down, we turn it around and we bring it back up. Now it just looks bare and open. As for Knok, he looks like this right now with that little peg out, and we can take this piece and it goes on over like that. And then he can slot in the chest just very nicely, just like this. I dig it. What about Skar, however? Well, we're going to come to the back this time, and Skar is going to be hidden away. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can peg him into that peg there. I'm going to try and do it, and we'll see if it works. Alright, so my original storage plan didn't work. Because of the official configuration, it will not fit in this hole, but it does fit in a secondary hole that's on the piece sticking out. Of course, that being said, man, that stuck out a lot. If you do the alternate configuration where this piece is down and this whole piece is just flat, you should be able to fit him kind of on the backpack pretty flat for the most part. So what exactly do I mean? Well, we can take this out, and I'm just going to do this pretty quickly here now. We'll bring this down, and I'm going to take this off, but I'm going to show you something that I was talking about. We bring this out, and I'm guessing I can put this guy in here. I can if I put it on. He holds there precariously if it's on an angle, but I can take this then and fit it in there like that. It is a smaller backpack, but because of this here, it does make that connection on his shoulder for the cannon a little more precarious. You can do it, but it's not the easiest thing. Here we have the original Generations next to the new Earthrise, and the Earthrise is definitely bulkier. They're the same height, but the Earthrise is definitely bulkier. Now, it's been said that Doubledealer is the first true leader offering in this line, because we really had a Voyager of Astrotrain that parts went on. Same sort of thing for Shockwave. Magnus, I think, was a true. I think he is the most true leader class offering we've gotten, as well as the Galaxy upgrade Optimus Prime. And of course, we've gotten the Prime with the trailer. So, here's where this guy falls into things. He's the height of a Voyager, so it lets you know how things have changed. As a matter of fact, if we go with the old school Voyager, something like Vector Prime from many years ago now, that's significantly taller than this guy. The mass is where the story really is told. Traditionally, mass for a leader class offering is about 315 to 320 grams of plastic. However it's distributed, that's the grams of plastic traditionally used. The Ultra Magnus and the Galaxy upgrade Optimus Prime used 325, so I get the price increase and whatnot there because we actually had more product in there. However, no one will ever convince me that the 215 that we got for Shockwave is a leader. No, it's not. Or the 296 that we got for Astrotrain. It is not a leader based on the actual amount of product used. And in this case, even with Knok and Skar on him, this guy clocks in at 284 grams. Without it, he's about 272, 275. The Voyager is 152 grams. So, no, the Earthrise is most definitely not a Voyager. it has too much mass, too much plastic, but it's not quite a leader. Again, it falls in that realm of being somewhere between the two as we move into what will be a new norm for leader class. That said, I do feel like I got my money's worth with the Earthrise Doubledealer. I think that there's so much that's jam-packed in here that I think it's a great value for money. But you know what? Let's get into the scores, because that's our true story here. And the very first thing, the very first score is obviously going to be for his look, his paint apps. Now this guy didn't really appear in the program, so that's going to, of course, have an effect. We did see him in a commercial, and we saw his, as I recall, we saw his tank and his bird. I can't even recall if we saw the robot, but you know what? Like, if you're trying to go off a commercial, really I think what you have to go off of is kind of the way he's sort of looked in comics and video games and like his G1 offering. I'm going to say this is a 10. This is quintessentially Doubledealer along with his two Power Master partners. So I'm giving it a 10. Great start. In bird mode, as we'll see, it's an okay bird, awfully bulky. The tank truck mode thing, the missile truck mode thing is pretty good. It's all right. So with the 10 to kick us off, we can go into the articulation, and I just wanted to strike a pose here to begin things, just so you can see that, you know what, the guy can get in some pretty neat poses. I'm going to take this out of his hand just to make life kind of easy for us as we sort of stand the guy up to get started here. The head, it can go left, it can go right, it sort of wiggles up and down. The arms, they can go all the way around, they can go out to the side, bicep swivel, double elbow, which I think is fantastic. Wrist swivel. We have a waist on the guy, which I love. Leg all the way to the side on, what is it? A soft ratchet, I think. And I think the arms would have benefited from having that as well. Bring the arm down. If we come back here, I can take that off, I guess, for now too. This goes all the way back. Even if the backpack is on there, that goes all the way back. It goes all the way forward on a more clicky ratchet. We do get a swivel, and we get a knee that is just under 90 degrees. The knees on this guy are complicated, but you know what, he can still get some great poses. I think that's all you're going to need. It'd be nice if it was slightly deeper. If it could just get to 90, that would be very nice. And we have a very deep ankle tilt, super deep, and I guess because of transformation, like the heel can kind of move, the toe, not really. It's really good articulation, honestly. It's very good articulation. The only thing that I could really knock against it is that the knee isn't quite there. Now, some people, like I said, are going to knock the elbows and say they're too weak. Mine are toleranced well, luckily. I think that that's a results will vary thing. Mine can actually hold the blaster just fine. I'm gonna say, because of the known issue at the elbow with it being, you know, kind of weak, and because the knee could be better, I'm gonna say that the articulation is a 9. There's no denying that the joints are there, but the range of motion on the knee could be ever so slightly more. And if you have one where the elbows are looser, then I know now that that's going to be a pain for posing. I have ones with loose joints and I hate it every time. But from my experience with the mold and with my copy, we have a 10 for looks, we have a 9 for the articulation. Man, that's a 9.5. This guy's pretty fantastic as is. We're going to take the Power Masters off of him, and then we're going to go to, I think, his missile truck mode next. Then we can kind of see like the base thing, and then we'll go to his bird mode last. So I've got everything stripped off of the guy, and we'll put it on as we do it. But this is the easiest way to do the conversion. It's not even so much that I would call it parts forming as, you know, it's his accessories that change location for the most part. So we'll pick off his chest piece, we'll fold in his hands, and we'll bring that up over. Actually, no, we won't bring it up over. We're going to bring it out to the side for now. And this will untab. When you do it, you're leaving the tires down here. This will untab and come up around, and then we'll put it out. Yeah, there's a rectangular tab up there, and there's a rectangular slot on the arm, so you're going to end up closing this in over. Going to do the same here. That's a tight like tab section there. Makes me a bit nervous every time. It's not hard, it just makes me a little nervous. So we put his arms up like that. We can take this and bring it up over his head, and we can fold that piece in. That's the upper body really done, and that's the easy part done. Just gonna lift that up for now. Then we get down to the lower legs, and the lower legs are a beast to do. You really have to pay attention to them. So I'm actually going to focus in on the lower legs because that's really the only way to handle it. Okay, so when it comes to the lower legs, like there's a lot that's going on here. You're going to turn the leg this way, and you're going to turn the leg this way. In essence, the legs are going to fold up over, but you really need to pay attention to the knee because that's the real trick here. Put the foot out and fold this up over, and you can do the same here. Foot out and fold this up over. I would suggest to you, do not try and put the legs together because you really need to get them kind of situated in position first. How do you do that? You come back here, and in essence, you're pushing up on this knee hinge as much as you can. Then we have a little rectangular peg right there, and it's going to go into a slot on the side of the legs, and we can tab together the lower legs. It is a bit of a nuisance and bear to do. I do find, for me, it's easier if I sandwich the legs together first, and then I can force these in on the side a little bit more. Straighten. Problem is, you got to straighten those legs up so that they are in the position you need them to be. I'm going to do that because that's just me fiddling, and then we'll just finish this off. Okay, so now that I've finagled that a little bit, we come here and we take out this one so that everything lays down and can roll. We bring this out and we will turn it around, and there's two little tabs right there that go into two little notches down there. I do find it's easier if I pick this piece up and then tab those down and do that. Did this one tab in? I think it did. Now we can start to put all of the bits and pieces on. The missile, it goes put together, and really we use this peg back here, and it goes down into one of the holes in that blue piece that's between the arms. Kind of like that. Then we take these pieces and they go here on the side, which is in essence plugging it in on the bottom of his foot. Then we take that and it goes in his hand. We take this and it goes in his other hand, and then we can come to the back here, and really what you're doing is you're taking this piece and you're folding it up like that, and you're putting these up on the side, and you're using these two 5mm pegs right here, and they go into a couple of, let me take that up, a couple of 5mm ports right there. It's easier to do this actually if I can see what I'm doing here. And once I have that stuff plugged in, here he is, kind of complete in his tank mode. He actually rolls well. The wings don't hold up underneath, which shocks me. In terms of his two Power Master partners, there's a ton of 5mm pegs here that you can use to put them on. You can put one on each side of the arm here. You can put one on the back here if you want. You can put them on the, one on the cannon if you want, or the missile if you want. I mean, there's a ton of options where they can go. This is the neutral mode, so I'm not so concerned about where they go here. In terms of the base mode thing, you bring down these two stabilizer legs. You straighten that out. It does have the connection piece on it back here, and you angle this up, and in the end, I'm going to back it up, but this is the base mode. Neat little rocket base mode, if I do say so myself. I really like it. Eventually we'll see this incorporated in the Ultimate Decepticon base. I know that when we last looked at that, and if you didn't look at it, you should check out the Tripticon review. Not Tripticon, Scorponok review. Yikes. I used the Generations version of Doubledealer because I didn't have this guy, but you know what? You could take out the Doubledealer that's there and using one of the connector pieces, for example, from Scorponok, or using the connector of Astro Train or whatever, you could connect this guy on if you're so inclined, or you could just have him kind of standing there off by himself as just like, hey, I'm just waiting to launch a missile, baby. Now that leaves us with one mode. So we've seen Robot, which is Autobot, we've seen Tank, and we have, or it's not really a tank, it's a missile truck, I guess, and now we've seen the base mode. That leaves the bird mode. That's the fourth mode for this guy. Again, the easiest way to kind of handle this is to take all of the junk off, and then we'll sort of put it on and deal with it after. But we're going to start from the base vehicle first. Okay, so now we've got everything off except for these pieces. They can pretty much just stay there, to be honest with you, because they're going to be there in the next mode anyway. So I took off all the other stuff that was necessary. We're going to take these arms and bring them out and down, and we're actually going to bring these all the way down and get these situated here like that. Once again, at this point, it is worth noting that because this is a Decepticon mode, we should probably flip out the Decepticon badge. I think that this is genius. It's just a little flip out piece of plastic on his shoulder, but we can go from Autobot to Decepticon and back so easily. I love it. This piece, it can come off, and then we can come over and turn the guy over. That's really kind of where we want this to be at the moment. These pieces come off for now. This is a wing, this is a wing. Fold it out, open it out. Actually, you don't even need to open it out right now if you don't want to, but you do have to fold them out. Bring that down. So we fold those out, and then we open this piece because that's how we're going to get the head out. And we're going to come all the way around here and bring this out, and we're going to turn the head like this thusly and close this back up once we have the head out the way we want it. So once you have the head out and situated and the mouth open, you can close this flap back up. I did want to open the mouth, and then you kind of got to reach underneath the chin to do it. Then we come here to bring these arm pieces down. And this is where things get kind of interesting. We have a rectangular slot there and a rectangular peg here, and you are looking to kind of angle the arm in a funny way to get it to peg on over that slot like that. You're going to bring this down, and then you're going to bring down this whole section, and that gives you a bird leg. We're going to do the same thing on the other side and get the guy stood up. And now this bird, while traditional, is definitely a departure from what we got in the Generations line with a plane that kind of had a bird face on it. A lot of people mistakenly just leave it like this and call it good and call it done. And you know what? You can do that. You can put the pieces and bits and pieces and stuff back on now if you're so inclined. But by rights, you're supposed to untab the legs here and untab the chest piece down here and bring this out. And really you should, oh, I guess I should have done that before I put these down. Really you should turn the chest piece around, and you really are supposed to collapse the legs closer up on the body. You kind of do so again by finagling the knees and trying to collapse them a little bit more. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Once you collapse it up as far as you can, and really what you should have is like virtually none of this leg left, this is going to come down, and this piece goes in over this little tab. And here you go. I got one leg done and one not done. When you collapse it, it should look like this. This is the way it should look for, say, the vehicle mode. The more collapsed way is the way it should look for bird mode. Also note that this piece goes in over that tab. And finally, we fold this piece down here. I do, however, need to like untab that, and we're going to put Skar in there. And he has the little engine piece on him, and then this can come back up over again to hold it in place. while we're at it, we could also put this piece in this hand behind the leg and put this blaster in this hand behind the leg like that. And so next we have to attach the tail section. You really just straighten it out, and we have those two little tabs down there. Now they go over a couple of little slots in here. It doesn't hold the tightest, but I don't know, I guess it's all right. And lastly, we can take the missile section. I guess I gotta get the head of the way. Take the missile section and we should be able to attach that to the back. I might need to attach that on the tail here actually. Like that. And I guess if you want to incorporate our other lad, maybe you could just attach up there like that. But this is the boom finished bird mode. And this crazy bird is definitely the weakest mode. It is definitely the mode that suffers. It's a big, bulky bird. The legs can move forward and back. The toes can move. I suppose if you really wanted to like swing an arm out to the side, you could fold it out. For the record, Skar likes to fall out of the chest piece. That's well known. There is a little trick, and I do have it done to keep Skar in there, especially where he's underneath, where when you place the bat cassette mode in there, just give a little push on his head and it gives you just enough friction to keep it in there nice and secure. I didn't mention that earlier, my apologies. This whole tail section is on very precariously. It stays, but if you look at it the wrong way, it's probably not going to want to stay. It's an alright bird mode. It's successful. The wings are very functional with a lot of joints and hinges and can move all the way. See, he likes to come off of there. The head can move up and down and kind of rotate. It doesn't really go left to right, but it sort of rotates. The mouth can open. So it does have as much functionality kind of as it can, but it's not perfect. So we had a 9.5. What about the transformation for this guy? The score for the transformation is a solid 8. It's not perfect because the legs are a bit frustrating and you do have to be careful with the knees, and like a couple of things, the tolerances could be a little bit better, so I'm going to say it's an 8. He had a 9.5. Overall, this guy's a solid about 8.75. It is an excellent entry into the Transformers line. It is a great Autobot or Decepticon or Mercenary, whatever you like. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But is he a splendid update to Doubledealer, the one we've been waiting for? Absolutely. And here we are once again, and here he is, and this is kind of the way that I leave him. I have Knok in his chest with the little engine piece on. I have one of the blasters in his hand, the other blaster in his hand, his satellite thingy up on his shoulder, and his half a cannon over here. I put the back piece on like this, and I put Skar right here. He's in kind of precariously, I'm not going to lie. A little tighter if you turn it on a slant. With this guy, when you put him in the chest, I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it again, give the bat head just a little nudge forward. It helps to solidify it in the chest cavity, otherwise he does like to fall out. I feel like both of them fit better in this guy's chest than they do in Sound Waves or Sound Blasters for that matter. I do wish that the knee went a little deeper, and the knees are both frustrating but at the same time a brilliant feat in engineering. I liked the Generations. I did. I like the mold. A lot of people don't. I did the fix, so the arms are fine on it. It's definitely slender. This guy's bulkier, and as Starscream Wife said, being bigger, being bulkier makes this guy more intimidating, and it makes him look like a formidable bad guy. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's basically what her thoughts were, and I tend to agree with it. This is definitely true to the original. I like that we can incorporate both of the partners. The bird mode is definitely the weakest mode. It looks very blocky, but so did the original. It works fine, but you have to suspend your imagination a little bit. The missile truck mode is fantastic. His base mode is his 4th mode, and it's very simplistic because it's really just tied to, angling up the missile and straightening out his backpack. But you know what? It does give it a different ambiance and a different feel, like it's supposed to be stationary. I dig it. I absolutely dig it. I like pretty much everything about this guy. Be careful with the knees. That's the only warning I give you. Mine are fine, but I've heard of people having them pop out. And I've also heard of people having weak friction joints on the elbow, which would be unfortunate. I think that might be enough to ruin this guy. At least I think it would be for me. He looks great on the shelf. He feels good in hand, and he functions just fine. Overall, I'm really happy with this update, even if his mass means that he's not quite what we call a traditional leader. It's still a ton of value for money here. Anyway, let me know what you think about this guy. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, don't forget that there's a donate link down in the description. As well as you can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. While you're at it, man, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. We do a ton of stuff. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, man, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, baby, right here inside the videos.